Alright, hey, so the first thing I noticed was that even I found myself getting mixed up between the Dormios and Antiphilises, especially in the beginning of the play before I got used to their names. And I was just kind of thinking about would it be easier to understand the difference between the characters if I could see them in person, like with costumes and everything, or if it's easier reading their names on paper so I know for sure, like, that they're different. So I just thought that was interesting that like I got mixed up on that in the beginning, even reading it. Second, what values are being represented? The first one I would say is honesty, and kind of trustworthiness. This can be seen when the jeweler gave the necklace to one of the Antiphilises, without getting the money first in return. He just kind of gave him the necklace and he said, "Oh, like pay me later." I feel like that's kind of shows how trustworthy the characters are. Also, the second value I would say is family. Between the brothers, like there are two sets of brothers of the two Dormios and the two Antiphilises. They're all the same in basically every way, even when they kind of switched around with each other. They couldn't even realize it. And then also between the wife and the husband, there was stuff going on between there. So I would say family is a big kind of value being represented in the play. Something I didn't really understand, so I had to look up later what an abbess is. It was like a character that came in later in the play, and so I looked up like what that is, and it's apparently a leader of nuns. It's a person who leads, and it's called an abbey of nuns. So it's probably someone like who's really respected in society because they're like involved in the church, and kind of a pure person. So it makes sense that they would go to her for help. Number four, gender in the play. I wouldn't say they're like completely like dependent on men and aren't super weak, but they're also not depicted very well. A lot of times there was that whole scene where one of the Dormios was like calling one of the women like fat and, oh, she's like the size of a globe and I wouldn't marry her and she's so dirty. And then a lot of them were called witches, and just it wasn't a great depiction of women. Number five, consider how this play was originally performed. I thought it was interesting how there was like no romantic involvement between the men and the women. They simply just like talked about their relationship, but they never like, oh, kissed, or they were never laying in bed. It was just they were getting lunch, and it was just because it makes sense because they're like actually two guys, so they wouldn't like do anything on stage, but like they were always just like standing next to each other and said, "We're married," but like they never kind of acted it out. And then two questions. One is, why is it that the sisters nor the slaves noticed that the masters were mixed up? Like, were they really that exactly the same that no one noticed that they were completely different people? And two, why did the cop trust the jeweler instead of the respected noble when he claimed that he stole the necklace?